I liked Mushoku Tensei. There, I said it. I really wasn't planning on watching this anime, like, ever. It's one of those shows where I was just fine with never having watched it. I could just live my life in a Mushoku-less, Tensei-less world. What changed my mind? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm glad I did, because Mushoku Tensei is truly an emotional roller coaster with tantalizing world building as early as the second episode. So then my question is, why is it the only emotional roller coaster with tantalizing world building as early as the second episode? Mushoku Tensei, the anime, came out in January 2021 and is considered the progenitor of isekai. I know big words are hard. It's basically the one who started it all. The one who started the 30-year-old bumfuck, dies from truck, realives in fantasy world OP as fuck genre. Now we can get into the weeds of whether or not that's entirely accurate. Or not. Fact is, it came out before all of this, and it's still the one everyone talks about. That kinda bothers me, because 2 years after its airing, isekai has only gotten bigger and arguably shittier as time went on. No other isekai has come close to finding out what made this one so good. Why is that? Well, to understand that, let's talk about why Mushoku Tensei stood out in the first place. But before we do, let's talk about today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is a rich, action-packed vehicle combat game with well over 2,000 tanks, planes, ships, and helicopters, all of which can be used in intense PvP battles. What's so cool is that every vehicle is incredibly detailed down to the very last screw, and that's all because of the amazing graphics and resolution the game has. My favorite is probably the Japanese AH-1S Kisarazu, cause she's cute AF. Let's be honest, even though these vehicles are all historically accurate, they're kinda boring. That's why War Thunder gives you in-depth customization with historical markings, camouflages, and even anime skins that you can download for free, as many as you want. You can even go the cultured route by adding a 3D Dakimakura so your tank doesn't get lonely. That's right, your tank can have a body pillow. But that's only if you use my link in the description. War Thunder is free to play on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, or previous console generations. So if you register with any of these using my link, you can get the 3D Dakimakura and so much more in-game bonuses to aid your battles. Thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Now back to Mushoku Tensei. Rudeus is an abhorrent, disgusting excuse of a human being who would rather jerk off to hentai than attend his parents' funeral. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. He gets kicked out, and realizing that he's creamed more times than going to the gym, he notices a truck barreling down the road about to hit a group of high schoolers. In a sudden act of heroism, he tries to save the kids, but in the end, gets run over, and, well...
Her tits are huge. She's gorgeous. European? Either way, if she's just gonna leave herself open like that... So trusted you.
This is gonna sound stupid, but I actually think this already says a lot about Rudeus as a character. Someone who's an absolute degenerate with no direction in life, but still has some compassion for others. Not a lot of people will risk their lives to save those around them. We're selfish, and all of these traits that he has, both good and bad, transfer over to his new life and impacts him more than you'd think. In his past life, Rudeus was both physically and mentally tortured by his classmates, something that's actually as bad, if not worse, in real life than what's shown in anime. Anyone would crumble at the thought of reliving that again. So seeing him overcome his fears, especially with the help from people who care for him, was extremely satisfying to watch, regardless of how shitty he is. These days, isekais try to speedrun the MC's past life as fast as possible, but that defeats the entire point of the reincarnation. If you're just gonna put him in a new world with no repercussions, why didn't you just start with that in the first place? Why did you have to show his shitty life at the beginning? Oh, I know, so that real-world incels can project their lives onto these made-up characters. Emotional exploitation, promising a fake life of this could be you when we all know it's much harder than that. You don't just magically wake up with a fat cock and zero problems. You have to work for it, tackle your problems head-on, fall flat on your face time and time and time again until you get sick of the taste of dirt and you grow. Rudeus grows. In 2 episodes. If someone can get me invested in a shit character with 2 episodes, that's good writing. Eris, Sylphiette, Ruijerd, Roxy, Paul. Okay, maybe not Paul. These characters all take a spot in the limelight at some point in the story. They're not forgotten. They're not just sex fodder for the MC to pick and choose. They're people who also take the time to grow. And that's one thing I love about Mushoku Tensei, that in 12 episodes they were able to develop 4 really strong characters, and I've barely even scratched the surface. I can't wait to see more. World building. Mushoku Tensei's world is nothing short of immersive. And that's high praise because I've seen this over 1,000 times. And you didn't even notice this was AI generated. The way the author makes me feel like, hey, I wonder what I would do if I lived in this world, is a feeling I've long since forgotten. Last time I felt this immersed, I was 12 years old watching Sword Art for the first time. Mushoku Tensei is a lot like that, but a lot less creepy.
Still a double A, I see, but I sense the potential for growth.
Disregard everything I just said. Scenes like these are atrocious and uncomfortable. I hate that I have to sit through this and watch it happen right in front of my eyes, but that's probably the point. You're supposed to find him creepy. You're supposed to find him gross because he is. Just like how Rudeus couldn't take 2 steps past his front yard, his vile, malicious tendencies aren't going away that quickly, as much as we want him to. Don't get me wrong, in the real world, people like Rudeus don't deserve a second chance. Fortunately for us, he ain't real. I'm sure everyone's covered this to hell already, so let's talk about the positives. The language. You guys know Great Pretender?
What's about it?
Great show.
What's so funny?
Your accent.
But I can't help but bring up the part in episode 1 where text just pops up being like, by the way, if anyone asks, they're still speaking English. And then proceeds to talk in Japanese for the rest of the series. It's nothing major. I don't really expect Japanese voice actors in Japanese cartoons to speak English. Like, what am I, an entitled tourist? It's just not an expectation you should have when watching anime. Mushoku Tensei looked at that and went, fuck English, fuck Japanese, we're making an entirely new language from scratch. And we're using it for more than 5 sentences. My library doesn't run deep on this shit, but this is the first time I've seen an anime stick to its guns after loading it. The amount of effort it must have took to come up with the vocabulary is immense, but the payoffs, they're undeniable. Couple this with a beautiful as fuck setting, and you've got a world that can stand on its own 2 feet. Characters actually live for the world as opposed to the world living for its characters. Effort is what this show has. Animation. I don't think we need to talk about animation, like... Wait, actually we do. No, we do. Hold on a fucking minute, this isn't isekai animation. Where are the reused frames, the awful CGI, the fucking copy-paste protagonist? I don't know how, but isekais have made it near impossible to distinguish them from one another. The only thing separating them is the gimmick plot device they always mention in the title. Reincarnated with my smartphone. Reincarnated as a vending machine. Reincarnated with my 13-inch veiny Punisher. Mushoku Tensei is a whole nother level and is the best animated isekai bar none. Plot, characters, world building, none of that shit matters when you have godlike animation. That's a joke, by the way. But if you don't give a shit about any of these things and just want to raw dog some action, this show can give you that. With animation as clean as this, paired with the aforementioned world building and characters, it almost feels like an accessory to the entire show. It doesn't have to look pretty, but it is, so I'm not complaining. So what have I learned from watching Mushoku Tensei? Well, it's an amazing show with deep philosophies, interesting characters, and a beautiful world, and every single isekai following it seems to have taken the complete opposite of that. Deep philosophies means shallow gimmicks, interesting characters means many characters with little to no interest, and beautiful world translates to, yo bro, let me copy your homework, I won't make it obvious, I swear. I'm not really mad at that, go get your bag. I'm just saying that until a new isekai comes along that everyone unanimously agrees is as good as Mushoku Tensei, I won't be watching any new isekais from this point on. Unless it brings me views like Kamikatsu did. Anyway, okay, bye! Remember to use my link in the description to download War Thunder on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 or previous console generations, so you can get these amazing in-game bonuses and a cute 3D Dakimakura pillow. You don't want to miss out on this. See you there. I actually feel bad for people who watch Mushoku Tensei as their first isekai. Like, imagine the joy on their faces when they saw like 5 new isekais every season, only for it to be trash every single time. Holy fuck.